Wonder, the call. So in August, my parents got this call from Mr. Tushman, the middle school director, and my mom said maybe he calls all the new kids to welcome them. And my dad said that's a lot of kids he'd be calling. So my mom called him back, and I could hear her talking to Mr. Tushman on the phone. This is exactly what she said. Oh, hi, Mr. Tushman. This is Amanda Will returning your call. Pause. Oh, thank you. That's so nice of you to say. He's looking forward to it. Pause. Yes. Pause. Yeah. Pause. Oh, sure. Long pause. Oh, uh-huh. Pause. Well, that's so nice of you to say. Pause. Sure. Oh, wow. Oh, super long pause. I see. Of course, I'm sure he will. Let me write it down. I got it. I'll call you after I've had a chance to talk to him, okay? Pause. No, thank you for thinking of him. Bye-bye. When she hung up, I was like, what did he say? And mom said, well, it's actually very flattering, but kind of sad. See, there's this boy who's starting middle school, and he's never been in a school environment before because he was homeschooled. So Mr. Tushman talked to some of the lower school teachers to find out what they thought were some of the really great kids coming into fifth. And the teachers must have told him, you were an especially nice kid, which I already knew. And Mr. Tushman is wondering if he could count on you to sort of shepherd this new boy around a little bit. Like, let him hang out with me? I said. Exactly, she said. He called it becoming a welcome buddy. But why me? I told you your teachers told Mr. Tushman that you were the kind kid who's being known for being a good egg. I mean, I'm so proud that they think so highly of you. Why is it sad? What do you mean? You said it's flattering but kind of sad. Oh, Mom nodded. Well, this boy has some sort of I guess there's something wrong with his face or something like that. I'm not sure. Maybe he was in an accident. Mr. Tushman said he explained a bit more when you come to school. Come to school next week. School doesn't start till September. He wants you to meet this kid before school starts. Do I have to? Mom looked surprised. Well, no, of course not, she said, but it would be the nice thing to do, Jack. If I don't have to do it, I said, I don't want to do it. Can you at least think about it? I'm thinking about it and I don't want to. Well, I'm not going to force you, she said, but at least think about it. I'm not calling Mr. Tushman back until tomorrow, so just sit with it. I mean, Jack, I really don't think it's much to ask you spend a little extra time with some new kid. It's not that he's a new kid, Mom, I answered. He's deformed. That's a terrible thing to say, Jack. He is, Mom. You don't even know who he is. Yeah, I do, I said, because I knew the second she started talking about him that it was a kid named August. Carvel. I remember seeing him for the first time in front of the Carvel on Amesford Avenue when I was 5 or 6. Me and Veronica, my babysitter, were sitting on the bench outside the store with Jamie, my brother, who was sitting in his stroller facing us. I was busy eating my ice cream because I didn't notice the people who sat down next to us. At one point, I turned my head to suck the ice cream out of the bottom, and that's when I saw him. August. He was sitting right next to me. I know it wasn't cool, but I kind of went, ugh, when I saw him because I got scared. I thought he was wearing a zombie mask or something. It was kind of when you say when you're watching a scary movie and somebody jumps out of the bushes. Anyway, I know it wasn't nice. And though the kid didn't cure me, I know his sister did. Jack, we have to go, said Veronica. She had gotten up and was turning the stroller around because Jamie, who had noticed the kid too, was about to say something embarrassing. So I jumped up suddenly like a bee had landed on me and followed Veronica as she zoomed away. I could hear the kid's mom saying softly behind us, okay, guys, I think it's time to go. And I turned around to look at them one more time. The kid was licking his ice cream. The mom was picking up his scooter. And the sister was glaring at me. I looked away quickly. Veronica, what was wrong with him? I whispered. Hush, boy, she said, her voice angry. I love Veronica, but when she got mad, she got mad. Meanwhile, Jamie was practically spilling out of his stroller, trying to get another look. But Veronica, said Jamie. You boys were naughty, very naughty, said Veronica, staring like that. I didn't mean to, I said. Veronica, said Jamie. Us leaving like that, Veronica was muttering. That poor lady. I'll tell you, boys, every day we should thank the Lord for our blessings. Veronica, what is it, Jamie? Is it Halloween? No, Jamie. Then why was that boy wearing a mask? Veronica didn't answer. Sometimes when she was mad, she would do that. He wasn't wearing a mask, I explained to Jamie. Hush, Jack, said Veronica. Why are you so mad, Veronica? I couldn't help asking. I thought this would make her angry, but she shook her head. It was bad how we did that, she said. Just getting up like that? I was scared for what Jamie was going to say. I didn't want him to say anything that would hurt that boy's feelings. It was bad leaving like that. That mom knew what was going on. But we didn't mean it, I answered. Jack, sometimes you don't have to mean to hurt someone. Do you understand? That was the first time I ever saw August in the neighborhood that I remember. But I've seen him around ever since then, a couple of times at the playground, in the park. He used to wear an astronaut helmet, but I always knew it was him underneath. The kids in the neighborhood knew him. Everyone had seen August at some point or another. We all knew his name, though he doesn't know ours, and whenever I see him, I try to remember what Veronica said. But it's hard. It's hard not to look. It's hard not to act normal when you see him. Why I changed my mind. Who else did Mr. Tushman call? I asked Mom. Did he tell you? He mentioned Julian and Charlotte. Ugh, Julian, I said. Why Julian? You used to be friends with Julian. Mom, that was in kindergarten. He's trying so hard to be popular. Well, said Mom, at least Julian agreed to help this kid. We have to give him credit for that. I didn't say anything because she was right. What about Charlotte? I asked. Is she doing it too? Yes, Mom said. Of course Charlotte is, I answered. Boy, Jackson, Mom, you seem to have a problem with everyone. It's just I started, Mom, you have no idea what this kid looks like. I can imagine. No, you can't. You've never seen him. I have. It might not even be who you're thinking. Trust me, Mom. And it is. And I'm telling you, it's really bad. His eyes are like down there. I pointed to my cheeks, and he has no ears, and his mouth is like. Jamie walked into the kitchen to get a juice box from the fridge. Ask Jamie, I said. Right, Jamie? Remember that kid we saw in the park after school last year, the kid named August? Oh, that kid, said Jamie, his eyes opening wide. He gave me a nightmare. I thought that was from watching a scary movie, answered Mom. No, it was from seeing him. I was like, and I ran away. Wait a minute, said Mom, getting serious. Did you do that in front of him? I couldn't help it, said Jamie, kind of whining. Of course you couldn't help it, Mom scolded. Guys, I have to tell you, I'm disappointed by what I'm hearing. And she looked like how she sounded. I mean, honestly, he's just a little boy like you. Can you imagine how he felt to see you running away from him? It wasn't a scream, argued Jamie. It was like, He put his hands on his cheeks and started running around. Come on, Jamie, said Mom angrily. I honestly thought my boys were more sympathetic than that. What's sympathetic? Said Jamie, who was only going to second grade. You know what I mean, Jamie, said Mom. Jamie, just get your juice box. I want to talk to Jack alone for a second. Look, Jack, said Mom as soon as he left, and he knew she was about to give a speech. Okay, I'll do it, I said, which completely shocked her. You will? Yes. So I can call Mr. Tushman? Yes, Mom, I said yes. Mom smiled. I knew you'd rise to the occasion, kiddo. Good for you. I'm proud of you, Jackie. She messed up my hair. So here's why I changed my mind. It wasn't so I would have to hear Mom give me a lecture, and it wasn't to protect August from Julian, who I knew would not be nice about the whole thing. It was because when I heard Jamie talking about how he had run away, I felt really bad. The thing is, there are kids who are always going to be kids like Julian who are mean. But if a little kid like Jamie, who's usually nice, can be mean, then a kid like August needs a chance in middle school. 4 things. First of all, you do get used to his face. The first couple of times I was like, whoa, I'm never going to get used to this. And then after a week, I was like, it's not so bad. Second of all, he's actually really cool. I mean, he's pretty funny. The teacher will say something and August will whisper something funny to me that no one else hears and will make me totally crack up. He's also overall a really nice kid, easy to hang out with and talk to and stuff. Third of all, he's really smart. I thought he'd be behind because he hadn't gone to school before, but in most ways, he's ahead of me. I mean, maybe not as smart as Charlotte or Jimena, but he's up there. And unlike Charlotte or Jimena, he lets me cheat off him if I really need to. He lets me copy his homework, though. We both got in trouble for it after class. The two of you got the same answers wrong on yesterday's homework, Miss Rubin said, looking at both of us. I didn't know what to say because the exclamation would have been, oh, that's because I copied his work. But August protected me. He said, oh, that's because we did it together, which wasn't true. Well, doing homework together is a good thing, Miss Rubin answered, but you're supposed to still do it separately, okay? You could work side by side if you want, but you can't do your homework together, okay? Got it? After we left, I said, dude, thanks for that. And he was like, no problem. Fourthly, now that I know him, I would say I actually do want to be friends with August. At first, I admit I was only friendly to him because Mr. Tushin asked me to be especially nice, but now I would choose to hang out with him. He laughs at all my jokes, and I feel like I can tell him anything. Like he is a good friend. Like if the guys in the fifth grade were lined up against a wall and I got to choose anyone I wanted to hang out with, I would choose August. Old friends. Summer at Dawson has always been a bit out there, but this was too much. All I did was ask her why August was acting like he was mad. I figured she would know, and all she said was Halloween costume. I don't even know what that means. It's so weird because one day me and August were friends, and the next day, whoosh, he was hardly talking to me, and I haven't the slightest idea why. When I said to him, Hey August, you mad at me or something? He shrugged and walked away. So I would take that as a yes. And since I know for a fact that I didn't do anything to him to be mad about, I figured Summer could tell me what's up. But all I got was Halloween costume. Thanks, Summer. I've got plenty of other friends in school. So if August wants to be an ex friend, then that's fine. That's okay by me. I've started ignoring him like he's ignoring me. It's kind of hard since we sit next to each other in every class. Other kids have noticed and started asking me if August and I have had a fight. Nobody asks August what's going on. Hardly anyone talks to him. I mean, the only person he hangs out with is Summer. Sometimes he hangs out with Reed Kinsley a bit, and the two Maxes got him playing Dungeons and Dragons a couple of times at recess. Charlotte doesn't do more than nod hello when she's passing him in the hallway. And I don't know if everyone's still playing the game behind his back because no one really ever told me about it. But my point is that it's not like he has a whole lot of other friends he could be hanging out with instead of me. So if he wants to ignore me, he's the one who loses. So this is how things are. We only talk to each other about school stuff. Like I'll say, what did Ruben say the homework was? And he'll answer. Or he'll be like, can I use your pencil sharpener? And I'll get my sharpener out of my case for him. But as soon as the bell rings, we go our separate ways. Why this is good is because I get to hang out with a lot more kids now. Before, when I was hanging out with August, the kids weren't hanging out with me because they'd have to hang out with him, or they would keep things from me, like the whole thing about the game. I think I was the only one who wasn't in on it, except for Summer and maybe the D&D crowd. And the truth is, though nobody's that obvious, nobody wants to hang out with him. Everyone's way too hung up on being in the popular group. But now I can hang out with anyone I wanted. If I wanted to be popular, I could be. Why this is bad is because A, I don't actually enjoy hanging out with the popular group that much, and B, I really liked hanging out with August. So this is kind of messed up. Snow. The first snow of winter hit right before Thanksgiving break. School was closed, so we got an extra day of vacation. I was glad about that because I was bummed about the August thing, and I wanted some time to chill without having to see him. Also, waking up to a snow day is just about my favorite thing in the world. I love that feeling when you first open your eyes in the morning and you don't even know why everything seems different than usual. Then it hits you. Everything is quiet. No cars honking, no buses going down the street. Then you run over to the window and outside everything is covered in white. The sidewalks, the trees, the cars on the street, your window panes. And when that happens on a school day and you find out school is closed, well, I don't care how old I get. I'm always going to think it's the best feeling in the world. And I'm never going to be one of those grown-ups that uses an umbrella when it's snowing, ever. Dad's school was closed too, so he took me and Jamie sledding down Skeleton Hill in the park. They say someone got hurt sledding down the hill a few years ago, but I don't know if this is actually true or just one of those legends. On the way home, I spotted this banged-up wooden sled propped up against the old Indian rock monument. Dad said to leave it. It was garbage, but something told me I would make the greatest sled ever. So Dad let me drag it home, and I spent the rest of the day fixing it. I super glued the broken slats and wrapped some heavy-duty white duct tape around them for extra strength. Then I spray painted the whole thing white with the paint I had gotten for the alabaster sphinx I was making for the Egyptian project. When it was dry, I painted lightning in gold letters on the middle piece of wood, and I made a lightning bolt symbol above the letters. It looked pretty professional. I have to say, Dad was like, wow, Jackie, you were right about the sled. The next day, we went back to Skeleton Hill with Lightning. It was the fastest thing I've ever ridden, so much faster than the plastic sleds we've been using. And because it had gotten warmer, the snow had become crunchier and wetter. Good packing snow. Me and Jamie took turns on Lightning all afternoon. We were in the park until our fingers were frozen. Dad had to practically drag us home. By the end of the weekend, the snow had started turning gray and yellow, and then a rainstorm turned most of the snow to slush. When we got back to school on Monday, there was no snow left. It was rainy and yucky. A slushy day. That's how I was feeling inside, too. I nodded hey to August for the first time I saw him. We were in front of the lockers. He nodded hey back. I wanted to tell him about Lightning, but I didn't. Fortune favors the bold. Mr. Brown's December precept was, Fortune favors the bold. We were all supposed to write a paragraph about some time in our lives when we did something very brave and how because of it, something good happened to us. I thought about this a lot, to be truthful. I have to say, I think the bravest thing I ever did was become friends with August. But I couldn't write about that, of course. I was afraid we'd have to read them to the class, or Mr. Brown would put them up on the bulletin board, like he does sometimes. So instead, I wrote this thing about how I used to be afraid of the ocean when I was little. It was silly, but I couldn't think of anything else. I wonder what August wrote about. He probably had a lot of things to choose from. Private school. My parents are not rich. I say this because sometimes people think that everyone who goes to private school is, but that's not true. Dad's a teacher and mom's a social worker, which means they don't have those kinds of jobs where people make gazillions of dollars. We used to have a car, but we sold it when Jamie started kindergarten at Beecher Prep. We don't live in a big townhouse or one of those dorm buildings along the park. We live on top floor of a 5-story walk-up we rented from an old lady named Doña Petra all the way on the other side of Broadway. Me and Jamie share a room. I overheard my parents talking about things like, can we do without an air conditioner one year? Or maybe we can work 2 jobs. So today at recess, I was hanging out with Julian and Henry and Miles. Julian, who everyone knows as Rich, was like, I have to go back to Paris this Christmas. It's so boring. But it's Paris, I said. Believe me, it's boring, he said. My grandmother lives in this house in the middle of nowhere. It's like an hour away from Paris in this tiny village. Nothing happens there. I mean, it's like, oh, wow, there's another fly on the wall. Look, there's a dog sleeping on the sidewalk. Yippee. I laughed. Sometimes I thought Julian could be funny. Though my parents are talking about throwing a party instead of going to Paris. I hope so. What are you doing over break, Julian? It said Julian. Just hanging out, I said. You're so lucky, he said. I hope it snows again, I answered. I got this new sled that is so amazing. I was about to tell them about Lightning, but Miles started talking too. I got a new sled too, he said. My dad got it from Hamacher Schlemmer. It's state of the art. How could a sled be state of the art, said Julian. It was like $800 or something. Whoa, we should all go sledding and have a race down Skeleton Hill, I said. That hill is lame, answered Julian. Are you kidding, I said. Anyway, it should be Garbage Hill now. It's junky. Like last time I was there, it was gross, with soda cans and broken bottles. He shook his head. I left my old sled there, said Miles. It was a piece of junk, and someone took it. Maybe someone wanted to go sledding, laughed Julian. Where did you leave it? I asked. At the big rock at the bottom of the hill. And I went back to the next day and it was gone. I couldn't believe somebody actually took it. Here's what we can do, said Julian. Next time it snows, my dad could drive us all up to this golf course in Westchester that makes Skeleton Hill look like nothing. Hey, Jack, where are you going? I started to walk away. I've got to get a book out of my locker, I lied. I just wanted to get away from them. I didn't want anyone to know I was the someone who had taken the sled.